Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon. It is 12:04 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm coming to you live from the VoiceMann Studios in Toronto, Canada. It is Friday, January the 22nd, 2021. And this is episode 138 of MCRAE Live. And we're talking Halloween Kills today. I don't know if it's... Well, we'll get into it. We're talking Halloween Kills. I have some new information for you that you can mull over, you can think about, and sort of pontificate. You can argue about it with your friends. You can make videos on it. You can scream and yell at your boss about it. I don't know, something like that. But it's interesting. It's an interesting time. It's an interesting time with the world that we live in, and of course, everything going on in the world of movies as it relates to the box office and the theater-going experience. We are essentially in a very unusual time. And, things are being shifted. Movies are being shifted. Release dates are being shifted. Will the theaters be open? Will they not be open? What is going to happen in the world of movies? What is going to happen in the world of movies? And, turning my headphones down. It was a little loud even for me. So what is going to happen in the world of movies? I wanted to talk about this because I recently, as of this morning, actually, I had a brief conversation with one of my sources that I've known for a few years now, and they are connected in certain ways, and they have been very good at giving me information when they can. Now, this is somebody that I've known for, like I said, a few years. Not somebody that I want to reveal their name, and the primary reason for that is obviously because I don't want to get them into trouble if they are saying something that they know they shouldn't be, or giving me little tidbits of information that maybe they know they shouldn't be, because obviously you don't want to go back to them. Now, listen, I'm the first to say this. It's very easy for anybody to say, so-and-so told me this, I have a source, and I don't have to name it. I mean, anybody can do that, and there's no doubt that we do live in a world where that happens all the time. We got this covered. Anyway, there's one thing We Got This Covered doesn't do is really have anything covered. But anyway, so, but it's very easy in this, day of journalism to just say something like that and not be able to back it up. And if you are somebody like We Got This Covered, which just throws everything at the wall, including the kitchen sink, then there's a high probability that the more you spew out there, you're going to be right at some point, right? There's going to be something that you're right on, right? It's almost like and not that there isn't, I'm not saying that there aren't people out there that may or may not have an ability, a psychic ability, or maybe, I'm not saying that's not true, but we all know there are charlatans out there, and we all know there are bullshit psychics out there. They're just very good at cold reading. And often what they do is they toss everything out there at you, and then, and then there's usually more misses than hits, but then there's that one thing that they hit that you seem to glom onto because you're in a vulnerable place, and yada, 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 right? It's about probability. The more that you spew things out there, the higher the chances are that you're going to be right on something. And of course, we do have a lot of websites and outlets that do that make their living off of that, off of clickbait. And then when something does happen to be right, they go, oh, you see, I told you that was going to happen. It's like, yeah, but what about the other 4,721 times you weren't right and were completely out to lunch? Anyway, so... And for those of you that may be new, may just be joining for the first time, I come from a media family. My dad was a journalist. He's passed away now. Excuse me. But, journalistic integrity is very important to me. So, but I do understand when somebody says, a source to me says this, I do understand why sources are often not named. It's not because it's not necessarily because there is no source. It's because they don't want the name to be out there, and then that person get into trouble and they lose their job. And it's all about trust, right? It's all about trust. And so what you end up doing at the end of the day, or what I end up doing at the end of the day, is that when outlets or people say I have a source that says this or whatever, you look at the track record and the pattern of, do those things come to be? Do those things come true? And that's what you tend to follow. That doesn't mean that you're right all the time, because information changes. And I'm prefacing this video by saying all this because I think it's important to give people perspective, okay? Information changes, and you see this in the internet age now, where somebody can say something because they have a bit of information, and then that something they've said doesn't end up being correct, or maybe not entirely right, or kind of half right, and then they get reamed out. You said this! And it's like, well, yeah, because at the time, this was the information, and information changes. That's what happens. I'm letting you know, based on the information right now, this is what we know. This is what's going to happen. That doesn't mean things can't change, right? And that kind of stuff happens all the time, especially when you're hearing it from somebody who's hearing it from somebody who's got insight knowledge, but then it's this, and we're not, it's like a jigsaw puzzle, right? You're trying to put things together and piece things together and get an image, of what something may look like based on what the pieces we have right now. But that doesn't mean that when you add more pieces to the puzzle that the image doesn't get clearer or kind of changes a bit, right? That's what this game is really all about at the end of the day, folks. Unless it's very cut and dry. It's very like, no, this is, and sometimes that happens too. So as we know, 2021 is a crazy year when it comes to the box office and movie theaters, and what Warner Brothers is doing with HBO Max, and releasing movies into the theater along with simultaneously with HBO Max. And we don't even know if the movie theaters are going to be, if we're going to be back to normal this time next year. We have no idea. I mean, just because Joe Biden is now your president, folks, doesn't mean that, that things are all sunshine and rainbows all of a sudden. There's a process, that has to take place. So, I mean, who knows where the world is going to be a year from now, 6 months from now. And even if the movie theaters were to open on they open in, LA and New York, which is the largest market, of course, in North America. Who knows if people are even going to be going back? I mean, just because the theaters are open doesn't mean people feel comfortable in going back. So there's that process as well, right? We have to remember that when the theaters open, let's say the theaters all open in July. Let's say they're all open in July. That doesn't necessarily mean that the theaters are going to be full in July. It could be another year before people start to feel, comfortable again and going back. It's like a slow process. Like, over the course of the next 6 months to a year, the theaters begin to slowly kind of fill up again. There's that process too, right? Because people get comfortable. They're at home. Why would I get to home? I had to put my feet up. They're at home, right? Even though I'm a big fan of the movie-going experience in theaters. So there's that you have to think about. So it's an interesting time we're in, and decisions are being made behind the scenes based on probability, based on predictions and what we know, and somebody's moving this over here, and wow, okay, we'll move this here, and we'll do all this. It's tricky. We do know that James Bond, of course, just moved into into October 8th. So No Time to Die is now October 8th. Morbius, however, has moved out of October and into January 2022. Which was a smart move on Morbius's part, because obviously they didn't want to go up against James Bond. Had Morbius stayed where it was, I mean, and you got Dune, which I believe at the moment Dune is October the 1st, if I'm not mistaken. You got, which is another big film. It's not as, I mean, it's one that even if the world was normal and Dune still met its release date of this past December, it's not necessarily a movie that was going to tear up the box office. It cost about $165 million to make, tackle on more, obviously, double that for marketing. it's a remake of an old film. Not a lot. It's not. I mean, it's very niche-y, right? It's not Star Wars. It's not Marvel. Dune is very niche-y. I mean, your hardcore science fiction fans know it, love it, have probably seen it, you know. But the average moviegoer is like, Dune? They're being reintroduced to this world. So Dune being $1 billion film, I don't know, right? Probably not, even if the movie theaters were open normally and things were normal. But nonetheless, Dune is still October 1st. October, I mean, since Morbius has moved out of there, October is less congested than it was, say, this time a couple of days ago, but it's still pretty congested, all things considered. So this morning I reached out to, I have two sources. I have three sources. Two I talk to the most in regards to kills and to this kind of thing. And this one gentleman who I reached out to this morning lives in LA, and I said, "What do you think?" Because, you know, again, it's not just about having a source or being fortunate enough to work in the industry, know certain people, meet certain people. It's not just about that. If you are knowledgeable about the film industry in general and about the business side of film, as you've heard me say 1,000 times, you can make bold predictions that often come true because you understand the business side. And so I've been watching this, you know, secretly from my own little den, all the moves and the changing of dates and things like that, without talking to anybody. And I sort of came to the similar realization that my source did. He said to me that it is still very much up in the air at the moment, whether Halloween Kills will be released on VOD or in the theaters. There is a high probability that it could go to streaming. And that at this very moment, this is what they're dealing with. I mean, they're dealing with a lot of shit right now, but this is one of the things that they are dealing with, is what to do with kills. And so that's interesting information. Now, that doesn't mean that it is going to go to streaming. Dave McCrae said it's going. I'm telling you what I was told, that right now at this very moment, those wheels are turning. What are we going to do? What is the best thing to do? Because Halloween Kills is a movie that probably cost 30, 40 million to make, maybe, right? Yes, the first movie made $255 million at the worldwide box office, made about 140 million domestically, about 96 something overseas. It did very well, but there's a variety of reasons why it did very well. And it's not just because it's not, okay, I'll say just because I know there are fans out there that really like the movie and thought it was great. So I will say this. It's not just because it was in your mind, a good Halloween movie or whatever. I mean, it had a lot more things going for it. There's a lot more reasons why. It was also the first Halloween movie since 1989 to be released in the theaters in October. You know, obviously that helps when you release a Halloween movie around Halloween time. Go figure. So people wanted to see it, right? You're in the mood, you're in the zone. It's not a summertime film. But this is not a movie that has to be released in the theaters for it to make its money back. Potentially. Now, that doesn't mean that it's going to reap the benefits of streaming, because there's no doubt it's probably going to cost you $25, $30 to watch the movie. But it's not James Bond. It's not Star Wars. It's not Marvel, where it costs $200 million to make. And therefore, you know, there's just no way. I mean, they're going to have to sell that thing to somebody, to Netflix, to whoever, and sell it for like $250 million just to recoup the cost. That's not Halloween Kills. There's other films like The Purge. I think there's a new Purge one that's supposed to be coming out, I think. There's other movies in that budget space, right? That are, you know, aren't cheap, but are not, you know, blockbuster money we're talking about here. So the probability of The reason why James Bond keeps getting moved, the reason why Morbius keeps getting moved, the reason why these bigger films keep getting moved is because the studios are doing everything they possibly can to make sure those go to the theater. You know, and they're going to wait till the last possible minute where they've exhausted all of their options. They've exhausted everything. And they go, okay, I guess the only option left is to put it on streaming, right? But they're going to exhaust all of that when it comes to a movie that costs 200 and something million to make, because they got to make like 700 million just to make their money back, including, you know, the cost of the movie, the marketing, all that kind of stuff. And you don't make that kind of money on streaming. Not now, not yet. The business model isn't there for it. Will Halloween Kills make $255 million on streaming? Not likely. Not likely. Not at all. Maybe. You know, you never know, but not likely. But I think they would be willing to make... It's a movie that can go to streaming and make its budget back, do very well, especially in October, and make something. Will they have a loss? Maybe. It depends. It depends how they handle the streaming. Do they get somebody else to do? Do they sell it? Do they make their money back? And there's also interest that's accumulating right now. You have to remember that. There's interest on these movies that are accumulating, because obviously you borrow money to make these films. So especially the big blockbusters, right? You know, the $200 million films. There's interest that you got to pay back as well on top of that. And since, you know, these movies have been moved, I mean, Ghostbusters was just moved from the summer to November. Ghostbusters Afterlife just moved from the summer to November. Anyway, I find it interesting. And I said to the guy, I said, okay. I said, what do you think is the... So when he told me that, I said, what do you think is the likelihood? Like, could you give me and this is through text. And he said, at the moment, he says, I think it's probable, which means likely. Not impossible that it won't, right? Could end up in the theaters. Of course, we know that. But things are so uncertain right now. And like I said, even if the theaters were open, it doesn't necessarily mean that people are going to be going to the theater. See, that's the thing. It's not just that the theaters are open. It's that are people going? And you may not be, you may not be afraid. Hey, what's going on, Doc? Marty, what the hell is wrong? Anyway, sound like Michael J. Fox or Back to the Future. You may not be afraid to go. I'm not afraid to go, but a lot of people are. And that's something you have to think about. You know, just because it's open doesn't mean they will be there, at least not right away. So if the movie theaters were to open now, right now, across the board, by October, yes, people may be back. We may be back. It may be back to somewhat normalcy, right? But if the movie theaters open in September or at the end of September, just on the cusp of like Dune opening, and now all the theaters are back, that's only a couple of weeks to Halloween Kills. Are people going back? I don't know. That's something they're thinking about. So I didn't get any more information, but I find it interesting. And it does align with what I've been thinking. You know, I've been watching things roll out and things move and what movies move and you know, what Warner Brothers is doing. And obviously it's not a Warner Brothers picture. It's a Universal picture. They have the distribution rights. And so, you know, but it's, well, they have the distribution rights here in North America. Do they have the distribution rights overseas as well? Darren, do you know if does Universal have worldwide distribution rights on Halloween Kills? I think they do, actually. Because sometimes it can change. Sometimes it can change. Like, I think Bond is different, if I'm not mistaken. So it's an interesting time. And I mean, I, like you, want to see Halloween Kills on the big screen. I want to see it in IMAX. Yes, they do, says Darren. Thank you, Darren. I want to see it on the IMAX. I do, you know. I think it'd be great. It'd be great. But at the end of the day, if this reworking and rescheduling and uncertainty of all these movies, and we don't know what's coming out and when. If you take anything away from this, if you're new to learning about, the industry, this is the perfect example of how at the end of the day, this is business, right? They don't give a shit when you want to see it. I mean, when I say that, obviously I'm being a little satirical. Obviously they care. I mean, yeah, you care about fans, but at the end of the day, they don't care. This is what is going to give us the best return. When you're dealing with that, I mean, this is not something that you spend $30 on, folks. These movies cost hundreds of millions of dollars, like money that none of us, you can't even imagine what having hundreds of millions of, you can't even imagine that. So, yeah, when you're dealing at that level, it's like, but the fans want it in October. Yeah, that's nice. How are we going to make this money back? And it's all about making money at the end of the day, right? That's what it is. So, when you see all these like people, the studios moving and twisting and, okay, we'll move this here. Okay, now that's, okay, that's there. We can't be there. And we got to move us onto January. We got to do this. It's all because of money. It's all because of that. It's all because of that, right? It's all because of money. What is going to give us the best probability of making our money back? And if that means putting Halloween Kills to streaming in October, they'll do it. Oh, they will do it. They may try everything in their absolute, bag of tricks to not do that, which I'm sure is what they're doing right now, which is why I said, even my source said, they're mulling it over. Like there's, but what he's hearing is that they're leaning a little more, and I was like, oh, okay, but that doesn't mean that that information cannot change, like I said, and all of a sudden they do find a happy medium, right? Like what Warner Brothers seems to be doing here, or something in between. But at the end of the day, they are exhausting all possibilities and weighing all possibilities on what should we do? Because what is going to give us the best return? Not what do the fans want? Not what does little Jimmy, the diehard Halloween fan, want, or little, Susie Q, who's just an absolute, I love Halloween so much. I want it. Yeah, that's nice, and that's great. But at the end of the day, Susie, you're not giving us $100 million, right? You know what I mean? We need to, what are we going to do, right? So that you have to keep in mind is that this is a business and they're going to do what's best for business. And regardless of what we want or what we think. But I do believe that what is best for business is the in-theater theatrical IMAX experience, 100%. But there's so much uncertainty surrounding that. It wouldn't surprise me if, and I didn't ask him this, actually, I should have asked him this. I could always text him back and ask him, I guess. When he thinks we would know for sure. I'm getting a feeling that there's no rush because it's October, but that doesn't, although there are films being moved out of October and into October even now, I guess, we might hear soon, but because of the kind of movie it is, because it's a movie that, isn't a blockbuster, there isn't this urgency, oh my God, we need to make $500 million here just to get our fucking money back. There isn't that urgency with Halloween Kills, that there may be that sort of like, okay, like we have some time here. We have time to figure this out. It doesn't mean you can be lax about it, but we have time to figure this out because it's not crucial that we make $255 million at the box office. Halloween 2018, you could argue overperformed, right? It made its money back and marketing within like a week or two. And then the rest is just gravy. And that's always nice to have. You want to have that, right? But it's not imperative. It's not dependent on a $300 million box office. So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't hear much in the way of Halloween Kills for a little bit in that regard. And who knows, maybe by April or May, when we're likely to see like a trailer or a poster or something to that regard, when you would heat up the marketing or begin the process of heating up the marketing campaign when it comes to the scheduled release date of October 16th, 15th. maybe by then we'll have more of more clarity of what is likely in the fall. Or we could be up Schitt's Creek again, even more. You know what I mean? So interesting information that that they are mulling both options seriously. So for those of you that say it's never going to streaming, no, that's not true. That both options are equally on the table right now. Equally on the table. And this is a source that, I mean, again, there's a lot of Halloween information and predictions I make that are my own, that come true. There's a lot that I make that don't come true. But most of the information, when I tell you my source says this, he hasn't let me down yet. So it's, you know, he's the same guy that told me that you were going to be getting something, two things in regards to the what they just released, was it? I guess around Halloween time, I guess it was. So there was the book from David Gordon Green, and then there, of course, there was the trailer. And he told me that no, it's not a sizzle reel again. It's a full on little teaser, and that's what I said to you guys, and that's what it ended up being. But I said, but it was only going to be about 30 seconds, if you remember me saying that. I said maybe a minute, but no longer than that, and it didn't end up being that. It was like 30 seconds. He's the same guy that told me that. So I trust him. He's never let me down. That doesn't mean that he has all the answers. He's connected in certain ways that I can't say, but he certainly has said that both options are equally on the table. It's not one or the other at the moment. It's not definitely theater, not streaming, or definitely streaming, not theater. But they are seriously taking a look at the streaming option because they realize that it needs to be a viable option. You know, this time last year, no, right? Like, who cares, right? You know, but it's becoming more and more apparent that they need to really think about this and what can we do to make the experience great, you know, in that regard. So interesting stuff, guys. Interesting stuff. So just temper your expectations. Keep that in mind. If it does come out later this year or at some point that Halloween Kills is going to streaming or simultaneously, don't, you know, I know that sucks because I want to see it in the theaters too, but understand that they're going to do what's best for business. So keep that in mind. They're going to do what's best for business. And interesting information. October definitely, like I said, with the removal of Morbius, it's now less cluttered, but it's still, you know, I mean, you got Bond in there, and you know, I mean, the one thing Halloween Kills has, going for it is, I mean, it's a Halloween movie being released in October, and that's always good. That's always good because people are in the Halloween mood. They're in the Halloween zone. This is a follow-up to the successful Halloween 2018. So it's going to do well. I mean, if you put it to streaming, people are going to watch it. You know, I'm going to watch it. You're going to watch it. You know you will. You know you will. You're going to watch it. And I think it will do well. It will do well in its time block there, in its date, because it's Halloween time. And it's a proven IP. Right? It's Michael Myers, right? So it's going to do well. It's not going to do $250 million well, but it'll do well. And we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens. Let's go to the chat room and see what you guys are talking about. How do you guys feel about it? Comment below and let me know. Are you okay with it potentially going to streaming? It looks like they're weighing that option heavily. Interesting. And when I get new information from my source, I will let you guys know. And of course, naturally, with what I see and what I know about how the industry works, I will definitely let you know as well on any predictions I have or something I've seen that might be likely maybe to happen or whatever. But comment below and let me know your thoughts on that and whether or not that bothers you. Some people, they want to see it in the theater. They want to see it in IMAX, but could you bring yourself to watch it on streaming? Is that okay? Do you find, you know, are you going to be okay if, I guess you kind of have to be okay at the end of the day, if it's the only option. I mean, maybe they'll do the simultaneous thing. I don't know. But if that is the only option, are you okay with that? Are you okay with it? I mean, you kind of have to be, or are you going to huff and puff and grunt and take a stand and do a change.org petition? Let's see what you guys are saying. Joshua Decker says, you are my go-to for H kills info. Thanks, Dave. Thank you, Joshua, excuse me. No problem, man. No problem. I always try to, I know there was a photo that was released, or a few photos. There was an official promotional image released through Empire a couple of days ago. And of course, there was a couple of behind the scenes shots. And I didn't jump on and do any video on them for two reasons. The first one was because I was neck deep in its post-production on It's Me, Billy, which of course we still are. And I didn't want to remove myself. I couldn't. I was too into what I was doing. And the second was I'm really all about new information. And it's not that I don't like talking about the same things over and over again. I mean, if you're not new to my channel, I can fucking do that. I love the people that go, Dave, you're saying it again. Yeah. Yeah. What are you, fucking new here? Yeah. But I don't repeat myself because I forget that I've said something. I will repeat myself for emphasis, right? To kind of bring something home, But I like new information. And when I was doing the coverage and the follow-up to Halloween 18, like I said yesterday on the show when I was talking to Darren and Frank, I mean, it was new. It was the first, a sequel to the original movie. Carpenter was back. Curtis was back. Castle was back. It was like this, it was so exciting, so exciting. Well, now that that's out of the bag and we've gotten through that, it's not that this isn't exciting. I mean, I'm a Halloween fan. I'm looking forward to seeing kills, of course. And, I'm excited to see it. Of course I am. But that needing to report on every single thing that happens, I just don't find that interesting. Especially because the image that was released by Empire wasn't new. We have seen that before. We saw it in the sizzle reel that was released at Halloween 2019. You saw it very fast. And I did a whole video where I talked about the Halligan thing and the whole thing. So it's a beautiful image. We see it more clearly. But what am I going to talk about? I'm going to jump on. And this is just me. That doesn't mean that other channels can't do it or don't do it and have lots to say. They got to do them. I'm just talking about me. I feel I don't have anything new to add to either what all they're going to say or any new insights that I might find with it. And I like to do that kind of thing. So I just was like, it's good. So people asked me, did you see it? Did you see it? And I said, yes, I think it looks great. And then there's the behind the scenes stuff, which is cool. But again, there's nothing really there. I mean, it's not, we saw the mask on the ground at the end of the teaser, this past Halloween. Laurie's house is burned. Well, yeah, it makes sense. I mean, she's, it just, there are, and again, I say this with all due respect, but there are people out there that would, if Jamie Lee Curtis stubbed her toe on set, could do a 45-minute video on Jamie Lee Curtis stubbing her toe on set. Oh, she stubbed her toe. Was it her right toe? Was it her baby toe? I don't know if it was her baby toe. Folks are going to find out. And how do you think that's going to impact her walking? Well, it might impact her walking, but it's okay if it impacts her walking because she's injured, right? So she can just kind of limp, and then it becomes more authentic. But then, you know what? If she gets infected, she might be, and there are people that can do that. And I probably could do it too. But there are people that could do that and go on and on and on. I'm just like, I don't care that she stubbed her toe on set. It's not worth me turning everything on and doing a video. So I like new information. So when I reached out to my guy this morning and he told me that, I was like, oh, that's interesting. Because and again, don't take away from this info that it's definitely going to streaming, because he says it may not, but he says it's probable. He says basically there's a higher probability now than there's ever been. And that it's a serious contender. Right? And because there's a lot of people out there that don't think it is, that don't think that there's any chance it'll go to streaming. And according to him, that's not true. That's not true. So, pump those brakes for a second. There's a high probability it might. But as the days turn into weeks and the weeks turn into months, information can change. The world can change. And what the world looks like can change. So I find it fascinating that as of right now, they're weighing that. It's like, oh shit, like we better get prepared here, because we don't want to be caught sleeping. Yeah, I'm going to go to the theater, see it in IMAX. I'm going to go to the theater, see it in IMAX. I'm going to go see it in IMAX. I'm going to go see it in IMAX. Halloween Kills going to streaming. So just kind of put it in the back of your head like, oh, it's possible. You know, it's okay. Interesting. But yeah, no, but I appreciate the compliment, man. I love talking about it. But I always want to make sure that I'm giving you guys, you know, insights or interesting ways of looking at things. I don't think I missed any super chats. Oh, there are 2 super chats. Nick Kunda sends in a $2 super chat. Thanks, Nick. And says, hey, Dave, just entered the chat. What did I miss? It was at 12:24. Well, you'll have to go back and watch it. I can't, I'm not willing to repeat that far back. And then Joshua, I did get yours, super chat there. So that's great. All right. Let's go over and see what you guys are saying. Dalton B says, I came in late, Dave. You might have already answered this, but could they do both streaming in the theater to maximize profit? Yes, they could. I don't know where they would, like, I don't know yet. And I could ask him actually, what are the options for streaming? Because it wouldn't, I mean, HBO Max is owned by Warner Brothers, right? There's a lot of people saying, oh, it's going to go to HBO Max, but HBO Max is a Warner Brothers thing. Universal Pictures is the distributor for Halloween Kills. So unless Universal sells it to Warner Brothers or something, which I don't think is going to happen, I know Universal has Peacock. I mean, who's got Peacock? I mean, I don't know. It just might be, maybe it's just, they just go VOD, you know, just not to a specific streaming service necessarily, but, I think that's on the, I don't know for sure, but I would imagine that is on the table. I think everything's on, like, from what I'm gathering, it's not set in stone yet, folks. Halloween Kills is coming to theaters. No, not necessarily, or not just theaters. It's still a very open open discussion right now happening with those that make those decisions. So I think it's possible. Lightning Shred. Let's spend 1 hour and 50 minutes talking about Michael's eyebrows. Yes, let's do it. Michael Myers in the chat. He says, never expect it to be better than the original because it won't be. Halloween Kills better than the original, or Halloween Kills better than 2018? I mean, listen, that's not as I've often said, I think Halloween 18 is a very good modern day slasher movie, and with some cool Halloween-y things in it. But I thought it largely failed as a Halloween film overall. And that doesn't mean that it's an awful movie. I don't think it's not Halloween 5. You know, it's not Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. But well, you've heard me talk about it. Go watch my Halloween 2018 review. Liam says, it is truly sad, no doubt, but it's better than waiting another year. It's rather dumb to whine over it coming to your home. After all, we will see it. Yeah, well, I mean, at the end of the day, right? And I know they don't want to. They don't want to wait another year, and they certainly don't want to. And they will do it. Trust me, they will do it. I know it sounds crazy. No, a studio would put they would put Halloween Kills in January. Excuse me. They would put Halloween Kills in January if they knew without a shadow of a doubt it would make millions of dollars in January. But it's January. Yeah, but it's money. Now, obviously January, although it's not the dumping ground it was, say, 15, 20 years ago, the likelihood of Halloween Kills going to January is not likely. But if they knew they were going to make hundreds of millions of dollars in January, oh, they do it. Of course they do, because it's about making money at the end of the day, right? You know what I mean? Yeah, it's just the movie-going experience, right, buddy? I mean, I didn't grow up in the digital age, so I mean, I have, obviously, I was in my 20s when this age began to really take shape. So, you know, I like going to the movie theater. I like sitting in a movie theater and watching, you know, a movie that I'm excited about on a 60-foot screen and IMAX and, you know, whatever it is. I mean, it's amazing, you know, and I have a great home theater setup with a big screen and surround sound, and it's great within my space because the space is relative, right? You put my screen and sound in a movie theater and it's dog shit. It's dog shit. My screen's going to look really puny. Yeah, because you're in a big theater. Well, it looks great and sounds great in my basement because it's my basement, it's my home, so the space is relative, right? You know, and the sound is thundering off the walls, which are like right beside me, you know. So, but there's nothing like watching a movie in a movie theater on a big, gigantic screen, you know, with everybody, and it's exciting, man. It really is exciting. Really is exciting. Let me see here. Oh, a couple super chats came in for Fandom Empire says, sorry about last night, Dave. Nailing it as usual, bro. Thank you very much, Fandom Empire. Sean, my buddy Sean over at Fandom Empire. I really appreciate it. And no worries at all. No worries at all. Yes, I did tell people that I was going to be on Sean's channel last night. I was not. Sean had to take care of some family issues. Nothing major, just taking care of a little sick baby, which of course would come first. Naturally, family always comes first. Completely understand. But I will be on soon, probably next week, hopefully at some point. So look out for that. Frank Riker says, thank you, Frank. Says, Dave, Blum and I just finished breaking sticks with our with our butt hams, and he told me he'll release kills on VOD in 3D, upside down, and in black and white. Yes, Frank. Now that's what I'm talking about, folks. That is what I'm talking about. Yes. I would love to see Halloween Kills on VOD in 3D, upside down, in black and white. Who's with me? I'm totally down. That'd be amazing. There's somebody watching right now thinking I'm serious. Ethan LeBlanc sends in a $9.99 super chat. Thank you, Ethan. Says, tricky question to word. Okay. Do you think it takes away from Michael's character to have him seemingly angry after the house fire? Is it like the Shape to get pissed off and go on this apparent rampage? Well, we don't know, do we? And the reason we don't know is because Halloween 2, the beloved Halloween 2, Halloween 2 through to Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, regardless of what movies you liked and thought were trash, right? All those movies, Halloween 2 through to Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, every incarnation of the character of the Shape, every evolution of the character of the Shape, every trait of the Shape doesn't exist anymore. It doesn't exist. There's no such thing. I mean, there is, but I'm talking about in this new timeline, it does not exist. Does not exist. So we don't know. The only sort of reference point we have to the Shape's personality, if you will, or, you know, how he acts, is Halloween 1978, which is very methodical, eerie, there, not there, you know what it is. Halloween 2018, similar. You know. So we don't know. So the question then becomes, will it take away from the Shape's mystique and make him more Jason-like if we see him tearing shit up rather than the more mysterious, you know? The funny thing is, Ethan, I've talked about this on this channel many times. You guys who are not new to the channel probably remember me talking about this exact thing, that one of the things I was worried about when it came to Halloween Kills, this is going back like a year and a half or so ago, it's a long time ago, I said one of the things I don't want them to do, although I understand why they would. I mean, it's not lost on me that, you know, I'm nearly 42 years old and, you know, you need to ham things up. You need to entertain your audience. It's not 1982 anymore. I just said 82 because, you know, that's way back when, right? I understand that, you know, people want to see violence. They want to see, you know, and with a title like Halloween Kills, you're going to get it. Does that make him more Jason-like? Well, yeah. Yes, it does. I mean, it's unavoidable. Now, that doesn't mean that we're going to be thinking he's like Jason in Halloween Kills. It all depends on execution, right? And whether or not they are still continuing the execution of the boogeyman. Have they removed the mystique, from him altogether, and every kill is I mean, is every kill like that? Is there no nuance whatsoever? Is there no subtlety? Is there no lurking? Is there no there, not there? Is there no suspense? Right? Because that's one of the things that the 18 film was void of, was suspense. There was very little suspense in that movie at all. So I have no reason to believe that all of a sudden Halloween Kills is going to be rich with suspense. So yes, it does make him more Jason-like. I mean, even in Halloween 18, he wasn't Jason, but he was more Jason-like than the 1978 version, right? So, and this is just an extension of that. So yeah, he's probably angry. He probably killed a bunch of those firefighters. That's how he got the Halligan, tool. And he's fucking ready to tear shit up and go to town, or, whatever it is. So yes, it does make him more Jason-like and less the boogeyman. But it's 2021. And I understand that, this is what people want to see. They want to see that. But I'll be curious to see if that's all it is, Be curious to see if there's any nuance. Now, listen, I know there's a leaked script out there. I've looked over it. But looking at a script, reading a script, and seeing it play out on screen are two very different things. Very different things. Now, they can be identical. They can be exactly how you imagined it, but they can be very different as well, because there's something that a script doesn't necessarily have, and that is nuance. And that is, once a film gets into the editing room, you can read it on a page, but when you see it within its context, with all the bells and whistles and the nuances at play, it can be very different. It can be much better, or it can be much worse. That read better on the page, or it's like, wow, that reads so much better on the screen. That happens all the time. So I'll be very curious to see how these nuances, if there are any, take shape, no pun intended. Because as I've said before, part of you shouldn't, in my opinion, strip the DNA of the character of Michael Myers and what Michael Myers is, because then he ceases to exist as Michael Myers and he's some alternate reality Jason Michael. And listen, I understand that you got to ham it up. I get it. I understand it. I'm not going to be angry when I see blood, guts, and gore fly on the screen in Halloween Kills. I mean, I get it, but don't remove what makes him Michael. Space it out. Have some, and maybe that'll happen. Maybe that'll happen in Halloween Ends. Maybe they'll go back to more of that in Halloween Ends, but they want this movie to be just high octane, crazy shit, but then it might feel weird. I don't know. I don't know how I'm going to feel. But I do know that, yes, what you're saying is absolutely possible. That when you remove what makes Michael, part of his DNA, yeah, you are recreating and almost rebranding the character in some ways. But it's all in the execution. I may walk away from Kills going, actually, no, I loved it. It was great, because they were able to instill some of those nuances and subtleties that you can still tell this is Michael Myers. This is still the Michael Myers from 1978, which it's supposed to be. I mean, that's what it's supposed to be. But he's older. He's angry, right? Do you know what I mean? We ran into the same issues with It's Me, Billy, right? It's all about walking that line. Of this is 45 years later, 50 years later. Billy he's older. Is he the same Billy? Well, he is, yeah. And you see that, but he's, there's more there. Because it's an evolution of the character. I just don't want them to strip everything that made the character in the first place away. And I think that's essentially what you're alluding to. And I agree with you. I hope it doesn't. I hope it doesn't. Him to be a little pissed, it depends. It depends if I think he can be forceful, and I think he can be a little more committed. He can be more committed, let's say. But yeah, I don't want to hear any like no. That shouldn't happen. That shouldn't happen at all. Great question though. Okay, more super chats came in here. Jacob, 26 Film Guy, sends in a $10 super chat. Thank you, Jacob. Says, hey, Dave, I missed your MCRAE Live number 131. I don't even know what that was, where you talked about true crime TV series. Oh, yes, and I wanted to know, did you watch Unsolved Mysteries with Robert Stack? I did watch Unsolved Mysteries with Robert Stack. Oh, yeah, I used to watch when it was on, like when it was actually on, in the late 80s, early 90s. I remember going into my basement. My girlfriend to this day can't believe that, I did this. I would go into the basement and I would watch Unsolved Mysteries at like 8 or 9 o'clock at night, whenever it came on, in the dark. I don't know why I did this. I would watch it in the dark by myself in the basement. The theme, right? And I was like, and then when it was over, I would turn off the TV and I would run from the basement to the stairs, up the stairs in pitch darkness. It's like I was trying to scare myself. Like I got an adrenaline rush from feeling freaked out at the end of the show, because I just watched like 4 creepy mysteries that are unsolved. And I wanted to torture myself by turning off the television and running from, the couch to the stairs in the dark and up the stairs. And then I got to the top of the stairs where, the kitchen light was on and, my dad was, or my stepmom or whatever. And I was like, I made it to safety. It was weird. It was kind of, I don't know why I did that, but I did do that. Loved that show. Phantom Empire sends a $2 super chat. Thanks, buddy. Says, Dave, the Sabres hat again. Come on, go Leafs. Yes, the Sabres. Hey, I like the Leafs. I mean, you can't live in, well, I guess you can, but I'm not one of those, I don't get caught up in the nonsense of the hating the Leafs. But the Sabres are my favorite team, have been for 36 years. They've never won the Stanley Cup. Hopefully they will one day. And yeah, I think they're off to a 2-4 start or something. The Sabres, I can't remember. I'll have to take a look again. But yeah, go Sabres! Come on, Buffalo! Hopefully we can get this pandemic thing just out the door so I can go to Buffalo and watch the Sabres. I like going down there. I often do that because it's only like an hour from us or whatever. Bernard Cozy sends in a $3.99 super chat and says, release Halloween Kills on VHS. Excited for It's Me, Billy. Thank you, Bernard. Yes, VHS beta. I say we start a petition on change.org to release Halloween Kills on VHS and Betamax. That's what I think we should do. Bernard Cozy follows up with another super chat and says, do you think Dewey will die in the Scream opening credits and that's what brings Sid back home? No, I don't. It's what I speculated on in my Scream video a couple of days ago on, I guess it was last week on MCRAE Live. I think it was last week. Anyway, the days are bleeding into each other. I speculated that I like that idea. I like the idea that it is something so personal that brings Sydney back into the fold. I like that idea a lot. And now I know it's blasphemous for Scream fans, and I don't think they're going to do that. Because I think it'll upset fans, because I think most fans, but you see, I'm the kind of person, I don't give a fuck who you kill. That's why I wasn't upset when they killed Han Solo. I wasn't upset about that because it served the story. It wasn't just because Harrison Ford wanted Han Solo to die. When you watch that scene and you watch The Force Awakens and the symbolism around that and everything that's being said, that's not said, and that's not said, that's actually said, and all these, and it was a great scene. It was and emotional, and I have videos on my channel, I think, where I talk about it. And if you're not new, you've heard me talk about it before. I'm okay with killing anybody as long as it serves the story and makes sense. I think we're fans, at least no, this is not entirely true. There are certainly fans out there that just get too caught up in the emotional side of it and they just want and I get that. But I would like to think that most fans understand that as long as it serves the story, even killing Michael Myers, which you can listen to in my Halloween sequel concept idea, as long as it serves the story and it's done well, and it's not shoehorned in, and it makes sense, and it's powerful, and its message is powerful, I think most people are okay with that, because they don't, as fans, they don't feel gypped. They don't feel insulted. It's done well. It's done with honor and integrity, and it's like, and it elevates the symbolism of the character and everything about the franchise, whatever franchise is, whatever character it is, to new heights. and it makes you appreciate it even more in ways that you never thought possible. And that's not easy to do. And it also takes a certain level of maturity on the audience to be able to understand that. And when you have, if your fans are like teenagers and stuff, well, they're not they don't understand. They just want people to live on and on and on and on and on. And I get it. I totally understand it. But hopefully, with age, they'll see that there really is value with things ending, with stories coming to an end. There's value in that. And that if you just continue to go on and on and on, you run the risk of, dog shit films. It's inevitable. It will happen. So I'm somebody that would love it if Dewey died in the opening, because it's something that is emotional. It's powerful. He doesn't die, tripping over his own feet and hitting his head. I mean, he goes out in a blaze of glory, in the sense that maybe Ghostface is back and there's a string of murders and he's called to the scene and he's like, oh my God, I've seen this before. I recognize this. Fuck. I know what this is. And he ends up dying. But he ends up dying like saving somebody's life or saving a young girl's life, or, whatever the case is. And Sydney finds out about it and she's lured back in. I think that's powerful. It means something. His death means something. He didn't die in vain. It means something, and it means something, and it's believable, rather than just there's a string of copycat murders and Sydney's got to go with her cape again and save the day. And I'm just hoping that that's not what they do. I'm really hoping that's not what they do, because I don't believe that she would do that. I guess I have to watch Scream 4 again and because I can't, I forget how it ends, but I know that she was reluctant. Sydney's always been reluctant to get involved, even from the sequel, part 2, 3, and 4. She's always been the reluctant hero, and I don't think that would change here. And certainly there's got to be something very personal that gets Sydney back into it, and I would be okay with killing off Dewey. I would. Let me see here, but I don't think they're going to do that. Chris Baber sends in a $4.99 super chat, says, I'll catch grief for this post, I'm sure, but did anyone else catch that Myers 2018 was left-handed? I don't know if James Jude Courtney is left-handed. You are correct, though, in the sense that when he was carrying the knife across the street, and when he killed Marion Singh's character, hello, Marion, if you're watching, Marion's a sweetheart, that he was carrying it in his left hand. I don't know if he was directed to do that. It's possible. I don't know why he would be directed to do that. Could be the angle they had the camera with the Steadicam as they were behind Michael. Maybe the knife was more visible in the left hand and in the pack, because it's all choreographed, like that kind of thing. It's rehearsed, not choreographed, but it's rehearsed, right? I think they rehearsed it like, I don't know how many times. They shot it like 11 times. The camera operator on the Steadicam will know sort of what is in the frame and what isn't, and they want to keep the knife. So maybe that's why he held it in his left hand. I don't know. Or maybe James Jude Courtney is left-handed. Maybe he is. And he did that, and the crew and the cast didn't even think twice about it. It didn't register to them that he was holding his left hand. Although just because he's holding it in his left hand doesn't necessarily mean he's left-handed. It was also his left hand that the two fingers were blown off of, so he can't really use that hand anymore anyway. So he's going to be using his right hand. So it's an observation that I noticed as well when I saw the movie at TIFF at the world premiere, and I thought, oh, that's interesting, But whether or not he's actually left-handed, I'm not sure. Good question though. Let's see here. Julian Turner says, love the whole Scream franchise. First one is up there with the original Halloween for me. Ooh, I can't say I feel the same on that, but hey, I'm glad it is. I even get strangely nostalgic for Scream 4 since it reminds me of the good old college days. Dewey must live the good old college days. Well, I guess you're younger than me then, because my good old college days was the late 90s. But I like the first Scream. I do. And I don't think it's a great, I don't like them as much as I like the older horror films, from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. But I certainly do. I like Scream. I think I like the gimmick. I thought it was smart. It was fun. It was a fun movie. It wasn't supposed to be scary. It wasn't supposed to, well, if it was, it wasn't. I mean, it wasn't like a scary, like a really, because it was very self-aware, right? And, you know, I always say spoofy-ish, you know, and I think I'm I know it's not a spoof movie. It's not like, you know, scary movie here, but you got, like I've said, you've got Wes Craven dressed up as, you know, Freddy Krueger, essentially, as the janitor with the Freddy Krueger hat, the Freddy Krueger sweater, and his name tag says Fred. You know, I mean, come on, right? But I've always enjoyed it for that. Like, it was just a fun, almost a mockumentary, almost kind of like it's serious, but it's also poking fun at the horror tropes and all that kind of stuff. And I thought it was fine, but I think it wore tired after that. I just think, like, and they found ways to extend it, and I enjoyed certain aspects of, you know, it's always, you know, watch Nev Campbell for 2 hours, you know, what guy's gonna mind that, right? But I just, the first Scream, it's done. You know, it's like, and the first Scream, what I loved about the first Scream is that it doesn't end on any cliffhanger. There's no like Ghostface coming out of the closet, or it ends. The story was done. It was these two guys who were obsessed with horror movies, who wanted to live out these, you know, fantasies. They actually murdered people, and they were caught and killed, and they found, you know, her dad in the closet, and they came out, all this guy, and it was done. And it ends with Gail, you know, reporting in front of the house, and the camera cranes up, like, and it's over. Like, that's cool. And if it was just that movie, I'd be fine, you know. But I have trouble believing that it continues to go on. But I'll be very curious to see what they do with Scream 5. Or Scream, as they're just calling it. I will be very curious to see what they do. Let me see here. I missed David Lee's super chat, did I? Let me scroll back here. I don't remember David. I don't see David Lee. There it is. David Lee Barron. Thank you, Frank. Thank you, buddy. David Lee Barron says, Dear Dr. Pichet, has someone ever did ding dong ditch on you? What would you do if it happens? Would you put on your Myers mask and scare them away? Ding dong ditch. I guess that is that like, is it like, what other, ding dong ditch? It's like where you ring the doorbell and you run away. Isn't that like Nicky Nine Door or whatever that's called? I've never heard it referred to as ding dong ditch. But if that's what you're referring to, no, I've never had anybody do that. And I don't think we ever did that as kids. I don't think so. But what would I do if somebody did? Would you put on your Myers mask and scare them away? Well, in order for me to put on my Myers mask and scare them away, they'd have to still be standing there when I got to the door. I'd look pretty silly opening the door with nobody there, standing in my Myers outfit. I'm more likely to wait for them to do it again by the door. And as soon as they're about to ring the doorbell, I open the door and go, something like that. And they're like, oh my God, that's what I would do. Just as those kids are about to ring the doorbell, thinking they're going to ring it and run away, I would open the door and scream right in their face. That's what I would do. That'd be so fucking funny. And I'd have to get it on camera at some point. Chris Baber says, Frank Riker officially gave me shit. Thanks, Tank. I love you guys. You guys are awesome. Frank Riker sends in a $5 super chat, says, Scream 1 is a warning of the dangers of blue balls. That's a good point. And you may be right. As Dr. Loomis would say, you may be right. Nicky Nine Door. Why did I think it was Nicky Nine Door? Maybe I thought there were two Nickies in there. Anyway, in Illinois, it's called Ding Dong Ditch. Fascinating. Ding Dong Ditch. Ding Dong. Ding Dong. Oh, hit my microphone there. Ding Dong, the ditch is dead. Ding Dong Ditch. The many faces of Michael Myers, ladies and gentlemen. The many faces of Michael Myers. So we have him sleepy, excited, confused, jealous. That's him jealous right there. And then on the other side here, we have happy, sad, angry, and calm. Angry and calm. Ding Dong Ditch. Folks of the Ding Dong Ditch Hotel. Song fan says, Dave, why does Laurie's house has residual effects from the fire from the movie? Why does Laurie's house have residual effects from the fire from the movie? Oh, I see what you're saying. Well, it's set deck. I don't know. I'd have to look into this, and admittedly, I don't know if that is actually that wouldn't. It's either set decoration, obviously, to make it look like that. So it's not that they've actually burned the inside of the house, but they've dressed it to look like that, which you can do. It would depend on whether that's a soundstage, which I don't think it is. It looks like that is the inside of a house. Or whether they got permission because it's a house that nobody's living in, it's abandoned. I can't remember if if Laurie's house in the original was an abandoned house that I'm not sure. I have to look more into it, to be fair. But why? Well, I mean, it's because the house in the movie was supposed to have burned. And maybe I don't know, maybe there's a scene in the movie where they're in there and you see that. I have no idea. I don't know. But certainly the creative is because in the movie, her house burned. So that's why it looks like that. Whether that actually, that also could, you may not see that either. I mean, it's entirely possible. Pyrotechnics and fire is a very tricky thing. I mean, things look out of control. That's the thing that's so cool about that kind of stuff too, is that, and you got like real pros on set to make sure that thing doesn't get out of control. But staging a fire, if it's not CG, staging an actual fire is a very serious, delicate process that, if done right, the idea is to make it look like it's an inferno out of control, when in reality, it's very much in control. And they can turn off and turn it on and put it out and all that, when they need to. And there's always an ambulance on set. There's fire trucks on set, or a fire truck. So the fire truck is not just for the movie. There would be a fire truck there in case something were to happen, right? So they may have lit that whole thing on fire. They may have done that. It may not be set deck. It may be natural set decoration. I'd have to look more into it though. Somebody else may have that info. Let me see. Chris Baber sends in a $4.99 super chat. Thanks, Chris. Says, Dave, when you went to the 2018 Pasadena convention and toured the filming locations, did you meet anyone that clarified the Wallace home makeover? No, I didn't, but I don't understand what you mean by clarified. You mean like confirmed that it was made over? Or clarified why they made it over? I mean, I would imagine they just made it over. It was natural renovations that the homeowners did over the years. It's been like that now for a long time. But yeah, it was made over because of just what people do to their homes. Sometimes people want to do renovations to their homes. So that's what they did. Yeah, I didn't meet anybody. It was so funny though. I remember when, and maybe he's watching. I have to apologize if I forget your name. But when I was walking, my girlfriend and I were walking, this was in Burbank, I think. And we were walking across this parking lot to get something to eat at Wendy's. And I hear off in the distance, I hear, Dave MCRAE? Dave? And I'm like, who the fuck is that? I'm in Burbank. Who the fuck is that? Somebody that watched the channel. It was hilarious and was like, hey, I'm a big fan or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, oh, that's so weird. Like at the convention, everybody was coming up to me, which was really cool. And it was really nice to meet a lot of you guys. That was awesome. But outside of that, just on the random street in LA, I wasn't expecting that at all, right? So that was kind of cool. But then the other thing that happened to me is my girlfriend and I were downtown LA and this was before the convention. And I forget the name of the building now, but it was a building where they shot Blade Runner. And we were in there. And maybe he's watching too, not Harrison Ford. That'd be cool though. But the guy that I ran into there. And I was up on this top kind of landing area taking some photos, and there was this this guy that was like, excuse me, and I'm like, oh yes, can you come down here please? And at first I thought, oh shit, I'm not supposed to be taking photos, right? I'm like, I took photo of something I shouldn't be taking photos of. So I go down the stairs and I go over to him, and I'm like, oh God, I'm gonna have to delete something off my phone. He's like, Dave MCRAE? And I'm like, yes. And he's like, I'm a big fan, man. I love your channel and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, that's so weird. It was weird. It was very strange. And you have to understand, as a voice actor, I mean, most of you have probably heard my voice many times over the years. But there's an anonymity that comes with being a voice actor that is nice. You know, you can go out and you're not necessarily recognized, right? But ever since doing this YouTube channel, that's changed a little bit, so it's kind of strange. But that was so funny. I was like, oh, I thought for sure I had taken a photo of something I shouldn't have. And he's like, oh, it's great. So we took a photo. I sent him the photo, and he was a really, really nice guy. So that was downtown LA. That was before the convention. And then there was the guy in Burbank, in the Wendy's parking lot. Just thought it was funny, really, really funny. But no, Chris, I did not meet anybody that clarified or confirmed the Wallace House renovations, but it definitely had renovations done to it, 100%. All right, we'll go for a little bit longer here. The Ennis, no, not the Ennis house. The Ennis house is the house which I did go to, and I have photos of me at the Ennis house. But that's more in the Hollywood Hills area. I'm talking like right downtown Los Angeles. There's a building down there where they shot parts of Blade Runner. But I did go to the Ennis house, and it's really cool. It's really, really cool. But that's not the place I'm talking about. Alex Maswell says they made a replica of her house for 2018 for Halloween Kills. A replica of the Wallace house? A replica of whose house? I'm not sure. Warren Armour says they made a replica Simpsons house, didn't they? They did. Yes, they did. I don't know if it's on the outside. They did. On the outside, they did. DMT Infinity says, hey, Dave, I need advice. Well, I am Dr. Dave. I got a job working construction 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. All right, good for you, man. Besides music and podcasts, how else can I kill time while being as productive as possible? Well, I don't know, man. I mean, I don't know what specifically you're doing in the world of construction. So, I mean, if it's manual labor and you're there on the road or you're in wherever, I mean, really, I think that's all you can do is just listen to music, listen to podcasts, maybe listen to a movie. You could always do that. Not necessarily a movie you haven't seen, because you want to be able to pay attention to the visuals, but maybe a movie that you really like that you've seen, so you don't have to watch it, but you pop it into your headphones and you can listen to it. Maybe it's Ghostbusters or I don't know, Halloween or, whatever. And you just listen to the movie as you're doing your work. You could always do that too. That's something. But beyond that, I mean, because construction it's manual labor at the end of the day, you got to be focused on what you're doing as well, right? So it's not like you can really do anything else other than listen to something. So, yeah, that's what I would do, man. Robert Kitzmiller sends in a $5 super chat and says, do you think the Myers house is occupied in Kills or abandoned? And do you think it remains after ends? I think it is not abandoned. I think it is, I think it was lived in, I think, is what they're going to go with. And do I think it remains after ends? Or does it burn to the ground like in my sequel concept idea? I think it should go, personally. I don't know. I really don't know. There's not a lot on Halloween Ends at the moment. I mean, they haven't even shot it yet. So I like my sequel, and maybe I'm a bit biased, but I like my sequel concept idea video where where the house burns to the ground. And because it's not just the house. Again, there's symbolism around it, right? It's the finale. It's the end. It's the conclusion. It's done, gone, zilch, zero, nada. It's final. It's finite. It feels done. You know, there's closure there. And I think that that is something that, now, I don't think you should burn it to the ground or get rid of it as an afterthought if it's not tied into the story somehow. I mean, you can't have, the story end somewhere else and all of a sudden the house is on fire. Like although that might be kind of cool, but then it's kind of like, it's a little too it's a little too weird. But I would be okay with it. Yep. I'd be okay with it because it's the end. It's done. Let it go. Bring it home now, right? Bring it home. There's so many movies that have great beginnings and great middles, but never can fucking stick the landing. And it's like, nah, stick that landing. And the fans that cry, they'll get over it. And hopefully with age and time, they'll see the value if it's really good and really symbolic and really, there's a lot of different layers there. And hopefully fans will come around and go, you know what? If you're gonna do it, that's the way to do it. Because you don't want it. Who the fuck wants Halloween Ends to end with Michael suddenly opening his eyes or him coming out of the closet or fuck that noise, man. No way. Bullshit. And if that happens, I'll be the first on here saying dog shit. Dog shit. Man, you couldn't do it, could you? You just had to leave a little bit of room. You couldn't just let it go. So fuck that shit. No way, man. No way. It's one of the things that I like about Friday the 13th, part 4, the final chapter. Whoa, there's a switch of gears. But at the end of, and I know they eventually did, but how cool would it be if they never made another Friday movie and Friday the 13th, the final chapter was the final chapter and it ends on Corey Feldman's face as he's hugging his sister. He's hugging her and he just goes, and he looks right at the camera like, whoa, is there something in him now? He's got that weird, strange kind of vibe, that look, and boom, it's done. And it's like, oh, listen, I get it, but that's cool. And it leaves you speculating and wondering. Can you imagine if Jason had come out of it? It's like, fuck that. No, stop. Stop this shit, man. End it. Have the balls to, it's not about ending it in and of itself. It's about how you end it, honoring the ending, making sure that it ties everything in, that it feels complete, it feels right. There's a lot of symbolism and psychological layers there that bring it all home, and it doesn't feel contrived. It feels right. It feels complete. We as fans can walk away going, now that's okay. I feel good. I feel good. If they fucking end it with him, we think he's dead, but he's being wheeled away, and all of a sudden, rah, it's like, fuck, lame. Where's my thing here? It's fucking big time. Would have fucking hated it. I don't want that. End it. Pull the trigger. It's not that the reason why people have so many problems with shitty movies, with horror. The reason why so many people have problems with the way slasher movies try to wrap up their story or their series, or horror movies, it's not because listen, there are some people that want things to go on and on and on and on. I get that. But generally speaking, with my experience, it's not that people don't like endings. It's that people don't like dog shit shitty endings that make no fucking sense. Or you end it, but then you're like, but maybe there's a little more. And it's like, fuck. And I get it's a business, man. It's a business, and they're going to do that. If you keep coming back, if you keep renting it on VOD, if you keep going to the movie theaters, they're going to keep making it. I understand that, and sometimes it's out of the control of the filmmaker. I mean, if it was up to Mustafa Akkad, we'd be at Halloween 438, but sometimes it's nice when, studios put the art before the money. Sometimes it's nice. It doesn't happen very often, but sometimes as a fan, it's kind of cool to be like, wow, what an ending. And that actually is the ending, and it's like, wow, it makes me want to watch that again and again and again, Anyway, we'll go up to 1:30 here today, of course. It'll take us to 90 minutes. Super chat comes in from Chris Baber, who says, what the fuck? My $5 chats are $4.99 now? Oh, that's strange. Did you put it in as $5 and it automatically changes to $4.99? That's weird. I wonder why it does that. I don't know. I have no idea. I've taken up with YouTube, I guess. Anyway, just got a call. I'm up for an Emmy for a commercial promo. You are a good karma, and this is why we watch. Congratulations, Chris. Amazing, my man. Amazing. Yes. I don't have any applause here. You got to get the old clap right in the palm. See? That's a good clap right there. Good job, my man. Good job. Love it. Keep me posted. Keep me updated. Keep me updated. Let's see. Warren Armour says, or just wait 20 years. No! Let it go! Let it go. Wayne Gottke says, but the Akkads have said they will never kill Myers. You better prepare that crash landing, buddy. That crash landing. Oh, yeah, it's going to be. Oh, yeah, no, of course. Of course the Akkads have said that. But that was really Mustafa Akkad that said that. I'm hoping his son, Malik, has a little more wherewithal to you know. But then I'm out, right? Like it's the kind of thing where if Halloween Kills has a crash landing, then I'm out. I'm out. Because I just don't give a fuck. Like, I'm sorry, but it's an insult to my intelligence. It's like, listen, I know there are fans that just want to see Michael just again and again and again and again and again, and that's fine. But clearly we have two different set of standards. And maybe I'm, you know, and it's not that I don't like fart fluff, fucking bullshit, funny fart movies too. I do. But at the end of the day, there's only so many times I can watch the same fucking thing over and over again that sometimes it's nice when something concludes. You know, because it doesn't feel messy to me. Like it feels good. Imagine, anyway, I just want a complete story, you know, and no. And Halloween Ends, what it really means is that Laurie's killed and really it's Laurie's end. That's what it means. And then Michael will go on. Now Michael's facing Allison and Halloween Retribution and he's facing Allison and then he kills Allison and then now he's facing nobody part of the family now. And now he's going off and he's doing this and he's doing that and he's doing this and then in 2029 we'll have Halloween Part 85. And then it's like, holy shit. And people will watch it. But I'm going to check out. If there's a crash landing like Michael suddenly opening his eyes at the end of Halloween Ends, I'm gonna carry like a big speaker with the Price is Right fail theme and just hold it up over my head and boom, 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 you know, where is it here? I had it here a second ago. It's like, come on, man. Come on, you know? But that's how I feel, you know? Like I said, there are a lot of people out there that just love it, that love just more Michael Myers. And all I have to say to that is, okay, but be prepared for those of you that hated most of the original sequels, like 5 and, you know, Resurrection and Rob Zombie's one, you're going to go back to where that was. It's inevitable. You can only make so many good movies in a slasher franchise until the weird and unusual and sensational, because then they have to make shit up to justify why this story is continuing, right? And usually when they have to do that, they have to stretch things. They have to stretch the believability. They bring in cults. They bring in this because they got to keep them going. And then we're all like, nah, that fucking sucked. It's like, yeah, that should have ended like, 9 years ago. But Wayne's not wrong. Wayne isn't wrong. I mean, the probability is very high that will happen. And I don't think they'll do this at all. I could see them maybe doing this on a streaming thing, kind of like a mini series. I don't see them doing this as a theatrical thing, as a big sort of temple thing. I would be, and this is big coming from me, but I would be more interested in them completing the story with ends. That's it. And then for some kind of fun thing on like a miniseries, doing a direct sequel to Halloween 4. Totally. Pretending 5, 6, and 7 don't exist. And 8 doesn't exist. And then you can bring back Danielle Harris. Then you can bring her, because then it makes sense. And then I wouldn't have any issues with that because, well, yeah, it makes sense then. And you do an alternate reality Halloween 5. And if you want to know my alternate reality Halloween 5, just YouTube Dave McCrae Halloween 5, although there are a few rants on there, but it's YouTube McCrae Live Halloween 5. And I run down my sequel concept idea for Halloween, for an alternate reality Halloween 5 with Danielle Harris. So, I mean, that's kind of fun. But I don't want this to go on. I don't want Michael to be 78, and this story to go on, because the pattern is there. There are very few slasher franchises that are amazing. That part 5 was amazing. And I know fans go, yeah, but look at, Friday the 13th Part 6 and, Elm Street 3. And I get it. But, we know where those franchises ended up. But Wayne's not wrong. Song Fans sends in a $4.99 super chat that was deleted by Darren Sands. Thank you, Darren, for deleting that. I appreciate the super chat. I trust my mods that was either spoilery, insensitive, or just unnecessary. So thank you, Darren, for doing that. Song Fans, I'm not sure what it was, but just remember, we got to keep things cool here. Okay, a couple more minutes left. I think I got all the super chats. I did. Yes, I believe I did. Yes, I did. All right. This was a no Halloween Kills spoilers, please. There we go. Yes, no spoilers to Halloween Kills in the chat. No, there was a script that was released that does look authentic. And it's out there now in the pop culture consciousness. It's not hard to find if you know where to look. So yeah, don't come in and spoil anything. That's completely unnecessary. So yeah. Danita Brown says, have to check in on my new great-grandson. Have a good weekend, Dave, mods and chum. Congratulations, Danita. That is amazing. Yes, a new great-grandson. Great-grandson. Wow, that is awesome. That is amazing. Congratulations. Robert Thidoff says, Dave, do you think outside studio backlots are not used as much? It seemed like TV shows of the 70s and 80s used the same outside backlots for multiple TV productions. No, they're still used. Are they used as much? Maybe not. I mean, shooting on it would depend, right? It would depend. Shooting on the backlot at Warner Brothers or Universal can be cheaper than shooting on location, but shooting on location can also look more authentic. Like usually you can tell when they're shooting on a backlot. TV shows still shoot on backlots. I know, of course this is, I know Fuller House, obviously the sequel to Full House, shot on the Warner Brothers backlot all the time. And it's a cool backlot. Having been there a couple of times, it's pretty cool. It is cool being there. Definitely cool. I don't know the actual numbers and whether that's changed a lot. Certainly they used a lot of backlots way back in like the 40s and the 50s and the 60s and stuff, because it was just technologically easier to shoot on a backlot. And that's what they were built for. They were designed for that kind of thing, and the sound stages and stuff. Shooting on location, it would depend. It would depend on the logistics of the shoot. Is it this massive car chase that's supposed to look like it's going through New York, or there's a variety of reasons of why they would shoot on a backlot and shoot on location. But backlots are still used. Oh yeah, they are. Frank, did I miss a super chat, Frank? I don't see. Yes. Did I not get this one? Wait a minute. Robert Kitzmiller says, do you think the Myers house... Oh, I got that. Dear Dr. Pichet, remember when the guys were fighting in the grocery store? I didn't get this one. Thank you, Frank. Thank you. David Lee Barron says, dear Dr. Pichet, remember when the guys were fighting in the grocery store and the dude shouted, because I take massive shits. Yes, I do. I know what you're talking about. That is when I went to the grocery store last year when everybody was buying toilet paper and there was a fight between these two guys. I need it because I take massive shits. Yes. I had totally forgotten all about that, man. That's fun. That's funny. Well, listen, folks, that's going to do it for me for episode 138 of MCRAE Live. Thank you to my great moderators, of course, Darren Sands, Frank Riker, and Tabitha Short, for doing what you guys do. I really, really appreciate it. If you want to follow me on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, all my links are in the description below, including links to my official website, Patreon, IMDb, It's Me Billy Facebook page. Check them out until your heart's content. And when your heart is content, please check them out again. I will be back. Well, like I said, there's always a chance I may be back, with a standalone sort of pre-recorded video if something tickles my fancy and something big happens. But I will be back live on Monday night at 7:00 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Two Dudes and Some Bullshit. Have a great rest of your Friday. Have a great weekend, and stay safe out there, ladies and germs. Alrighty. In the meantime, in between time, cheers.